Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our special spoiler chat of Scream 6. My name is Sean Waskrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. I'm happy to have Brian here for this. We know how Brian dislikes talking about movie reviews, but this is not a movie review. This is a spoiler chat. We are going to talk about everything that happened and transpired in Scream 6 and also some of Scream 5. So if you guys have not seen Scream 6 yet, don't watch this yet. Go watch Scream 6, then come back and listen to us talk and complain and bitch about this movie. Trust us, we actually did like this movie. But we want to preface this is if you, unless you guys are really weird and just want this whole movie spoiled for you, then I keep watching, I guess. Some people like that. But I will preface this in terms of previous chats over on this channel. I can't remember which episodes per se. I am not a fan of Scream 5 or Scream 2022. Whatever we're gonna call it, Scream 5.
I'm calling it Scream 5 from now on. I don't care what it
Scream
says.
fucking 5. I did not like Scream 5 at all. I have my reasons for not liking Scream 5. I'm not gonna go over it all over again with you why I didn't like it. Brian, this was what the fun part was last year with Brian. I remember when we watched Scream 5. Brian was like, "That was really good." And I was like, I didn't like it. I had huge problems with the ending. And Brian was like, dude, I think you're thinking too much into it. And I'm like, no, I'm having seriously bad issues with Scream 5. And that was the end of it. Then we both had a better ending for Scream 5, which we will talk about during this for anyone who doesn't know yet. Then what was it like? Not even 6. I think it was like our half-year review. You were like, so I watched Scream 5 again. And I'm starting to side with Sean on some things. I was like, yes!
On something, I still enjoyed it quite a bit more than you did.
I said something.
I had some issues, a lot of nitpicks, things like that, but I still enjoyed it. But then I rewatched it again just in anticipation of this movie, and I still very much enjoy it. I still have nitpicks and things like that, and things that we thought they should have done differently, but that goes with anything.
And for me, rewatching Scream 5 before watching this, it actually got worse because everything that I didn't like. Maybe it's because I already knew that the stuff I didn't like was coming. Usually if you don't like something and you watch it like 6 months to a year later when you already know what's happening, it will sometimes be like, oh, okay, that wasn't as bad as I remember, or it doubles down and you're like, oh god, that really is awful. And for me, for Scream 5, it doubled down. And I was just like, nope, I fucking hate this one.
Hate? Oh, you go hate. Wow.
It's not the worst Scream. That still goes to Scream 3. And only reason why Scream 3 is worse than Scream 5 is fucking Parker Posey, who I can't stand for the life of me. As an actress, I cannot stand her. She's the human equivalent of Nails on Chalkboard. She's the unfunny comedic version of Rebecca Hall. And as much as I like, help me with the killer, the actor who played the killer. Oh my god.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm blanking on his name.
I don't remember his name. Was that Scott Speedman? No, that wasn't Scott Speedman. That was
No, that was Speedman. Freaking oh my god, I'm blanking on the actual actor.
I have to edit this.
No, we're not editing this. We don't edit this stuff.
He was Scott Foley.
Scott Foley. Right when you pull it up, I get it in my brain. Yeah. I like Scott Foley as an actor. My god, that was the most annoying, crybaby, whiny, bitch-ass Ghostface ever. And I hated that movie for what it did. There was not, honestly, outside of just the original cast, there was really no redeeming qualities of Scream 3. Scream 5, I like Jenna Ortega. I like Melissa Barrera. I think Melissa Barrera got unfairly shit on for her performance in Scream 5. Brian, you agree with me on that?
Barrera, but yes.
Barrera. I'm gonna mess up.
Just correct these. Don't do it.
I know. It's a thing. And I thought the kills were good. But there's stuff in the movie that really, really irked me. So that's why it's not worse than Scream 3, but it's right fucking there. But Brian and I were both in an agreement. Actually, what's weird is even though Brian liked Scream 5 more, I was more anticipated for this than Brian was. Because I remember you and I, when we both found out that it was going to New York, we were like, oh no, they're doing fucking Jason Takes Manhattan. But then on the other end, we're like, good.
It's something new. It's a chance to kind of reinvent it and not just be
Which
another.
Which on one hand, yes, the second one wasn't in Woodsboro. It was wherever the hell,
Valid.
I can't remember the
Yeah.
college where it was at, but they were somewhere else. And Scream
Mhm.
3 technically was in Hollywood, but when you build the whole fucking set to be Woodsboro, you're basically in Woodsboro. So
And 4 was back in Woodsboro.
exactly. So it's basically Woodsboro. You know, paint lipstick on a pig, it's still a fucking pig. But it's the New York aesthetic to me, I think I was worried, but I thought it could help. And then I saw the first trailer, which is the store scene, which everyone has seen that scene who saw the trailer. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. This You have my attention. I'm actually excited to see where this is going to go. You were not as excited, but it was a step in the right direction for both of us. And
Well, I was definitely anticipating it. For me, it was kind of cautious optimism. It was like,
yeah,
okay, I like the fact they're doing something different with it. You know, the last one didn't blow us away, but I still enjoyed it. It was honestly the last one was still my number 3 of the franchise. For me, it's like 1, 2, 5, 4, 3, and even 3. I enjoy 3 a lot more than you, I think, too, because I don't hate it. It's not. It's definitely the weakest of the bunch, but it's
you
still
don't
a Scream
despise
movie.
Parker Posey as much as me,
Yeah.
and that is probably the
Yeah,
tipping
so
point.
so so 5 I enjoyed, but it was kinda like, I don't there were some issues that we had with 5, which we discussed then, and we'll probably get into again a little bit now,
Mhm.
but it was like, I'm looking forward to see another one, but it wasn't gonna be, like, high on my most anticipated list because first of all, there was just a lot of other stuff I anticipated more, but then also it's kinda like that, I'm kind of reserving getting too excited, just in case it's
Yeah.
not good.
So going back to what you said, because you said you blitzed through it really fast. Before Scream 6, what
Mhm.
is your definitive Scream ranking?
1, 2, 5, 4, 3.
Okay. And mine before Scream 6 was 1, 2, 4, 5, 3.
So
I
pretty
still
much the
think
same.
Scream 2 is I think you and I are both agree that Scream 2 is really good
Yeah.
and criminally underrated. I like Scream 4 better than you did. But yeah, other than that, we're relatively close. So like I said, going into Scream 6, we were both in a better place than we were for Scream 5. I think you and I both were excited that we were getting another Scream movie with Scream 5. And because we both like Melissa from In the Heights and Mason Gooding from Booksmart, and Jenna Ortega was still relatively new, but we knew her from some things.
Leslie
Cast
Grace from Batgirl. Oh, no, wait, sorry.
no. And I knew Richie from The Boys. So cast wise, I was real excited for it, but obviously it greatly disappointed me. It was one of my more disappointing films of the year. But going into this one, I had more high expectations based off of what we saw. Plus, the cast listing of the new people I like, and I want to say it right because I don't want to say it wrong. I like Dermont. Is Dermont
Dermot
Mulroney?
Mulroney.
I like that actor. I like him in a lot of things he does. I like his. It's not. I don't know. Is it his charisma or is it like his suaveness? It's kind of just like it. Like I don't know. He's got this.
It's kind of a swagger to him,
It's
which
a
is kind of funny
swagger.
'cause
I
he's
like his
kind of a
swagger.
goofy dude, but he still has, like, this personality. 'Cause for
Yeah.
me, it goes all the way back to, Young Guns, and then after that in, like, things like My Best Friend's Wedding, he's always kinda had, like, a certain personality
Yeah,
that
and
really sells.
even because I'm more TV than Brian is. When he was on the New Girl, I liked him in that. I like that actor. So when I saw him in it, I was excited. Tony Revolori, we like in general in most things. So knowing that he was going to be in this, we were excited about. Obviously, the core four, since that's what they're dubbing them in the film. I liked all of them in the previous film. I do think the twins didn't get utilized to their best potential in the fifth film. But like I said, Melissa and Jenna, I mean, Jenna's fucking Jenna. Jenna's on a rocket ship through everything right now. But Melissa, we both enjoy her in The Heights, and we both liked her in Scream 5. Obviously, no Sydney this time around, which you and I were like, that's fucking fine. Even if anything, you and I were both like, Gail's back.
I'm like I really was like, "Can we just cut?" And they had the transition film, "Can we just move on now?"
Exactly. Not to bring up Last Jedi, but Kylo, kill the past. Just bury it. Move forward with the
Oh, please
future.
don't ever reference Last Jedi.
Some people are calling this the Last Jedi of the Scream films, which is so off base because
I don't think so at all.
it's really not doing anything. It's still following the fucking formula. But
Yeah.
let's go
Well,
ahead
that's
and
another thing is before we get into the movie,
yeah,
going
yeah.
into the movie, a lot of the marketing was pushing like, oh, this isn't the same old Scream. This is a whole new Scream. This isn't just like all the other ones.
Which technically it's not a lie, and I'll defend it. We'll get there. Because I really, this is one of the first Scream movies for me that I actually, because like every Scream, like on paper, it's like, wow, that was really meta, that was really cool, stuff like that. But it doesn't like make you think afterwards. Scream 6 actually made me go, oh, okay, yeah, that shit all makes sense. Which is why the killer reveal didn't annoy me as much as it did Brian, which we will touch base on that when we get to that point.
I will not say annoyed as much as just underwhelmed, but we'll get to that. Yeah.
But isn't almost every Scream film's killer underwhelming except for the first one?
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, the first one was the best one. Everyone since then has been underwhelming. Except for, I think, Scream 4.
Unless we write them. We'll get to that, too.
Yes. But I do think Scream 4's Jill was honestly brilliant.
It was better.
That was brilliant. I actually loved the Jill part of the Jill being the killer in Scream 4. I think that worked beautifully. But yeah, going into actual Scream 6, let's obviously talk about the thing that Scream prides itself on, the opening. Now, Scream 1, iconic. It's an iconic horror opening. Scream 2, iconic in its own way because of Scary Movie. People will never forget Scream 2 because of Scary Movie, which I'm totally okay with. Scream 3 was shit. Scream 4 was a parody on top of itself, on top of itself, on top of itself. Scream 5 was brutal and worked well. This one did something that we never thought we'd expect. It stayed true-ish to the original, but did it completely different and blew me by surprise. That first 15 minutes, because it's a 15, I'd say what, about 15 minutes long, this opening scene?
It's 10 to 15. Yeah.
From start to title card, I think it's about 15 minutes. And when that title card came up, I was like, fuck, okay. All right. Hell yeah. Okay, I'm in this.
Yeah, because we both had the same thought. The first thing you see, you have Samara Weaving at the bar, and both of us like, Samara Weaving, and we're like, oh, she's gonna die.
That's 100% what it is. I almost wish that Brian and I went to see this together. Obviously, we can't because of because I get both of us would have went, shit, because that is 100% the same reaction.
Like, I heard she was in the cast list, but then I never thought about it when I saw all the trailers that she was basically not in it, which would have just said sensibly that she's going to die early on. Yeah, but instead, but as soon as you saw in the first scene, you're like, oh, well, she's dead.
I didn't know she was in the movie. Because I try not to look at the cast list because that usually gives me a good indicator of who the killer is based off of who's not in the group kind of deal. And I remember I saw it and I was like, yay! And then she picked the phone. I'm like, no. I was like, no, that means she's gonna die. And
then as soon as she starts talking, I didn't recognize the voice at first. Well, I recognized it, but I couldn't place it. But you recognized it right away.
It took Brian until the actual unmasking to figure out who was talking the whole time. And I popped it right over. I'm like, wait. That's Tony Revolori's voice. Are they mimicking him because she's supposed to be talking to Tony, or is Tony the killer? I was like, wait. So the whole conversation they're having, which great dialogue between the two. Because what I love about Samara's performance is Samara is sexy as hell. But I love that she was playing it off like she's such a dork. And she kept like getting really into it and then just going, fucking Christ. Like I'm blowing this, which is like, you trust me. If we were on the phone with her, you ain't blowing this. You're knocking this shit out of her. If like we hadn't seen you yet, oh my God, I'll marry you right now, Samara, because you're talking about stuff that I love, and you're Samara Weaving. You have me going, and that whole conversation I thought was great. And then, but you know where it's going. But I picked it up right away. I was like, that's totally Tony's voice, and I was like, I don't know if this is a fake voice or if this is actually Tony. And I was hoping, obviously, because we love Tony, I was hoping it was a fake voice.
Well, because they established in, what was it, 4, where it's no longer
voices,
it's no longer the Ghostface voice changer. It's a magical voice changer that can make it any voice you want. You can imitate whoever you want with it. So I thought it could just be doing like whoever she was supposed to be meeting. It could have been imitating him. Yeah.
And we also saw in the 4th movie, and I think also in the 4th and 5th, that you don't have to hold it. They pretty much have it under their mask.
Yeah. You know, I just hear it fire out that boom.
Yeah, exactly. And it was one of those things where I totally lost my train of thought where I was going to go with this. But when we got to the point where it's like they're in the restaurant, it's like, okay, well, there's no way he's going to kill her in the restaurant. Like, there's just, it's not possible. Like, there's way too many fucking people around. It's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he has her go outside, you're like, because like I said, and that's the funny thing about it too is like for someone who teaches slasher movies, she literally falls into every slasher trope that you're not supposed, because that's what she's really talking about, is all the cliches. Yet she follows every cliche.
And she can see all the way from one end of the alley to the next street over, and she's still like, I don't see you. And she's just walking down the alley like she's gonna see him close. Like, there's nobody there.
Oh my god, there's a knife. There's a guy with a knife. He's following me. There's
like, clearly not in the right alley, or he's making it up.
I was like, you can see all the way down that alley. it's very well lit. It is a very well lit alley. You do not like run to me. That's what I would have said. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stay right back here because hello, you teach slasher films and you live in a world where Ghostface is an actual thing. I'm sorry, and you live in New York. New York in general, you would never do that.
I'll play you on hold and call 911. How's that?
What I also loved, and I don't know if you picked up on this, is that Tony was 100% catfishing her because Reggie.
The picture wasn't him.
The picture was so not Tony. Yeah. It was some other dude. Because the whole time I was like, oh no, she's gonna, get blown off because he does not look that like Reggie in the fucking photo. Like that's where my brain went. My brain went to like, oh no. And then I was like, wait, no, Tony's probably the killer. Why am I feeling bad for him? Because Reggie's so not Reggie. But what I liked about it in terms of this, and this is the catching us off guard of what we're used to. It's a straight up kill. It's not like let's run, let's have this long chase, and her running away, gets stabbed once, run away. She runs out.
Just take her down and brutally stab the hell out of her.
Exactly. Because I was worried about. And it was a tiny worry. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is gonna make it bad. Because we saw that people were out. Because it was like 3 days before Halloween, so everyone's out dressed up and shit. I was worried that she was gonna get stabbed, and then she was gonna run out, and no one was gonna believe her. Much like in the second film when she hops up in front of the theater screen, and everyone's like, "Yeah, you're a part of it." And I was worried that was gonna happen, but no, they kept it tight and they kept it basically up close and personal. There's no long, overgated stretch of a scene with this. It was he ran right up to her, stabbed her, and just kept stabbing her. And then,
but by modern Scream standards, she could be alive for all we know.
Well, they literally showed a picture of her dead, so no. but the thing is, like, he just takes off his mask, and I was like,
that's the moment that got me. That's the moment because he took it off. And first of all, I was like, oh, that's where the voice was I was trying to place. But then I'm like, that's when I was like, whoa, wait a minute. They are doing something. Are they going to tell us up front who the killer is? And the movie's like trying to and we know who's going to
because I had so many thoughts running through my head. I'm like, wait a second. So Tony actually did kill her. Holy crap! Do we exactly like? I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I like.
I would have loved it because I thought it was going to be like he's part of the group of friends, and we know he's the killer, but nobody else.
At that point, we didn't know yet.
Well, I know, but I'm saying when I saw him, I thought, well, if we know who the killer is, but they clearly don't, then maybe he's part of the group of friends, and that's going to increase the tension for us because we know what's going on and they don't.
That honestly would have been a nice swerve of this movie. Is if the movie was all done by the I'm blanking on the
point of view.
Yeah, the view of the killer throughout the film, and not through Tara and Sam. That they're kind of more the co-stars of the movie, and the movie's actually following the killer.
Once again, showing both points of view.
Once again, following on the new horror tropes, the horror movie is about the killer, and it follows the killer's perspective. That would have been honestly kind of really fucking cool. I don't know if it would work for Scream, but it definitely would have been something new and unique, which at that point, that's exactly what we were getting. Because when he took off his mask, he realized it was Tony. I was like, "Aw!" But then I was like, "Idiot! Why are you taking your mask off? You stupid! Like, what are you doing?" And then we see that he knows Tara, and you're like, "Oh man, like shit! Like these girls are never gonna have friends ever again because they can't trust nobody." But then he comes home into his apartment, and you see that he's got this whole big shrine and shit. And because I thought he ditched the costume. I honestly thought he ditched it. I didn't think that he put it back in his backpack.
Oh yeah, you saw him fold it up, put it in his bag. Yeah.
I thought he was just.
At first, I thought he was going to ditch it, but then I saw him put it in the bag.
I thought he just changed his clothes. I didn't catch him put it in his backpack, and then I saw he kept it. I was like, okay. And then of course we. I can't remember what his roommate's friend name was. Was it David or something?
I don't recall.
I don't recall either. But then like it's one of those things like you start to fall into the Scream tropes when his friend calls him and he's doing the Ghostface voice, and you're like, okay, Tony's definitely dying. There's no way Tony's surviving this because we've seen these Scream movies before. And it wasn't like that part was anything new, because it was one of these things where it's new in a sense that we actually were following a killer, not the killer, a killer who wants to be Ghostface, whose plan is to be the new Ghostface, who is then being hunted and stalked by the actual Ghostface, which, once again, meta on top of itself, very clever, very cool. And what I loved about the whole thing, when he actually opens up the fridge and he sees his friend and he's just literally ripped to shreds, which, Brian, you were like, oh, shit, when that happened. Which, for me, my first thought was, is that somebody I recognize? Is that somebody we know? And I couldn't tell. But what I loved about it, which made me go as soon as the title card went up, and I went, oh, shit, was he's like, what about the movie? We got to finish the movie. Fuck the movie. I was like, okay, all right, yes, I'm in. I'm in for this. I'm in for this ride. I hope, please don't fuck this up kind of ride. After that point, we go to Melissa, or God, that's the actress. We go to Sam, who's talking to one of the worst fucking therapists ever. That therapist is a bitch. That is a bitch-ass therapist. And Brian tried to defend him because we literally had this discussion last night. We was like, we're going to film this now. And he's prying at her, and he's trying to get her to describe what happened and all this kind of stuff. And then when she finally does, this dude acts like he doesn't fucking know who Samantha is. You have the internet. You have newspapers. You have TV. You're telling me you never looked up who Samantha Carpenter was?
No, he knew who she was. He knew what she went through. I think his reaction was, I can't do this anymore. I can't deal with it. And he even explains what is a rule is that it's just like any psychologist, things like that. If a patient either says they're going to commit some sort of crime, or if they pose a danger to someone else or themselves, they need to report it. And he even said, I'm going to have to report this.
Which she never did. Which is
she's saying she's having thoughts of how she liked killing people.
Is as soon as she started to describe, my father is Billy Loomis, he was a serial killer. I was dating a guy, Richie, who was a serial killer. And you saw him starting to get internally freak out and panic, like he didn't know. Yet, shut the fuck up. You know who Samantha is. Don't act like you're telling. And he's like, and I killed him by stabbing him 21 times. You're telling me that wasn't in the reports? You're telling me, especially after Gail's book thing, you're telling me you didn't know that? You didn't know that at all? The only thing she said that could have caused red flag alerts, which he was already spazzing out at that point internally, was that it felt right when I stabbed him. That's all she said. That's not an admission that she's going to do harm to anybody. That's not her saying that she's going to hurt anybody. It was just an emotion that she felt at the time. None of that shit that you said is anything to do with what she said in that moment. That therapist was a fucking bitch and freaked the fuck out, which is the one thing that I had an issue with, because that therapist, I'm sorry. If random fucking people walking down the street knows who Samantha is, you're telling me the therapist, who's been her therapist for 6 months, didn't fucking look her up?
Well, apparently it's like a big internet thing with trying to expose her as the real killer and things like that.
And that's a new meta thing that I actually was like, okay, way to keep that kind of, because last movie was all about the Reddit forums, which is a legitimate thing. This one was about how the internet and the trolls and stuff like that can turn a hero into a villain. Even harking back to The Dark Knight.
Yeah, I mean, everything from a hero to a villain, everything from wanting to basically cancel people, like you said, turning the heroes into the villain, as well as it was also a play on kind of the whole the rise of these true crime podcasts where everybody thinks they're their own detective and like, oh, we know who the real killer was and we can solve the crime better than they can.
She orchestrated everything. Poor Richie was the victim and all this kind of stuff. And I'm watching that and I was like, this is utterly ridiculous. But I'm like, no, this is fucking spot on because this
Yeah,
is
I wish it was
100%
ridiculous, but it's not.
what is happening in real life because people are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's told because in 1996, no, Sydney got off scot-free. Like Sydney didn't have to deal with this shit. Melissa, I'm surprised, and everyone was like, Tara was the victim. No one thought Tara was anything because Tara didn't kill Richie or Amanda, but it was like everything was like, oh no, it's 100% Melissa because Melissa was the daughter of Billy Loomis, and I actually liked that. I don't think that they didn't. I think that they it's not that they didn't hit it enough, but I think they could have went a little bit further with it. With the Melissa, I keep saying Melissa, with the Sam part of it, with the people thinking it. Like there's times where I was like, there should be reporters trying to question her, especially after the apartment attack. Like everyone just kind of left her alone. And there's like even when on the subway, I figured like, oh crap, someone's gonna spot her because she's basically a celebrity in a way through this, but they didn't. And it was one of those things where it's like I felt like they could have hit it.
I bet most people know by
I
a name or something more than they know like her face in a crowd.
I didn't want it to overtake the movie by any means, but it was just one of those things. Was like based off of the location of where they're at and what just happened. I feel like people would have, especially reporters after the apartment, the subway thing. I can let that one go because it's people probably weren't paying attention to her. But I felt like the reporters got onto her when she left the police station, but they weren't really getting on her after that moment, which I thought was a missed opportunity. Not that it wasn't needed. I just think that just to keep the flow of what the story was trying to accomplish at that point, they should have done. Anyway, she gets to her apartment. We meet Quinn, played by, and I'm pretty sure I said her name wrong the other night. Liana Liberato.
Liberato, it looks like.
Who plays Quinn, the daughter of Dermot Mulroney as Detective Bailey. Did we ever get his first name in that movie? I can't remember if we ever got Dermot's first name in the movie.
Not that I'm aware of. No.
All right, so we're just calling Detective Bailey, I guess. So apparently it's Tara, Quinn, and Sam all living together. Tara went to a frat party, so Sam's freaking the fuck out because she's still basically clinging to Tara, making sure Tara basically is protected. But the main thing that she's describing in this moment is that Tara has basically kind of blown off what happened a year ago, and she's not embracing, but she's not dealing with the attacks, which to our records, to the fifth film, Tara was stabbed 7 times. Her leg was broken. Her wrist was relatively fucked up in the movie as well. Tara went through a lot, and her idea was to basically say, that's 3 days of my life. That's not going to define me, which makes sense. I get that. That's totally cool. She doesn't have to deal with the Billy Loomis of it all. She doesn't have to deal with Billy Loomis's ghost basically haunting her and shit.
Sam also, as the older sister and as the person who feels responsible for all of this, she's being overprotective basically, and so Tara's feeling just smothered because she can't live her life.
Exactly, which we understand. We get that. We're not like, come on, Tara, but it's like, but I will say, it's been a year.
And even without the ghost face thing, she was looking at date rape at the party. I'm just saying.
Oh, she was looking. She wanted it. She wanted that, and I was like,
she even said she was too drunk. She shouldn't have gone up there.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, she was. Bad things were going to happen, and she seemed to be all for it. Like she wanted bad things to happen at that party for some weird reason. And if it wasn't for Chad and Mindy and Anika, that shit would have happened. But we go to the party. We have everyone dressed up. We see Mindy with Anika, played by is it Devin Nakota? Yeah, Devin Nakota, and of course Jasmine Savoy Brown plays Mindy. And they're basically at the party. They're watching over Tara. Chad's there with his roommate Jack Champion, Mr. Bro himself, Ethan from Avatar: The Way of Water. They're all at the party. Like I said, Tara's basically like, I'm gonna go upstairs and hook up with this dude because fuck it. And they're all like, no, Ghostface alert, fuck that, nope, stay down here. Which we get to initial almost a fight, which basically is a bunch of bro pushes, bro, push, no actual punches thrown, which is usually what most bro fights are. Until Samantha shows up, going, no one touches my sister like that. I'm gonna tase you in the balls now. It just straight up does it. And it was so good. Like, even I was like, damn, that was good. That was good. But the main worry, like I said, everyone had their cameras out, which shockingly, that didn't come up later when they were being interrogated for shit. Like, that actual part didn't come up. But we see them leave the party. We get Tara arguing with Sam about the smothering and everything like that. But then we get a random character throwing, according to Sam, Diet Cherry Coke, shockingly not alcohol, basically calling her a murderer, all this kind of stuff. So showing that Sam's life has not gotten better since the 1 year. We see the posts and people, claiming that Sam was orchestrating everything. Sam is the real killer and all this kind of stuff. But now we're seeing it on a personal level. People are actually coming up to her. People are attacking her in a way, throwing drinks at her and stuff. And that Sam actually really can't live a normal life right now with this. And by connection, neither can Tara, which is probably why Tara was in that mindset at the party. She just wanted to get drunk and just let go and not have to think about all that crap. So the events of, much like, which is different compared to what Sydney went through in Scream. Sydney had protective detail. Sydney was like, and granted, 1997 was different than 2023 with the internet not really being much of a thing yet. She could go to college, and unless people had a newspaper or read the newspaper, people probably didn't, or watched the news, people probably didn't know who Sydney Prescott was. There's no way for Tara and Sam, or even Chad and Mindy for that matter, to avoid this stuff. They are always going to be watched. They're always going to be noticed to a point for people who pay attention to that part of the news. Yeah, so I mean, we have this basically this face off between Tara and Sam. Jenna acted the shit out of this. I think Jenna does a fantastic job acting in this movie. They definitely give her more to chew on in this, because clearly Jenna has rise up the ranks in terms of like, you need to give me more to do in these movies because I'm Jenna fucking Ortega now. But yeah, we get more for her. We get that fight, and then oh yeah. They go back to the apartment. Everyone's at the apartment now, and we get the introduction to Danny, played by Josh Segarra, who we both like, as a Pug from She-Hulk. One of the good things from She-Hulk. He's in other things too that I like, but he's known as Hot Guy Across the Window or some shit like that. But we find out basically that basically this apartment is kind of almost like their safe house. Mindy, all of them, they all come there to feel safe. That whenever shit's happening, that's kind of their home base in a way. But we also start to see something else happen with Chad and Jenna. I keep saying the actress's name.
Tara.
Chad and Tara, that a relationship's brewing between them. A will they, won't they kind of thing. Did you or did you not like that?
I was indifferent to it.
Yeah,
I wasn't like shipping them or anything, but I had no problem with it. I get it.
It was definitely never even remotely brought up in the first movie, because obviously Chad was with I'm blanking on her name, pink-haired girl.
Yeah, but I mean,
and Wes,
a year later, they've gone off to college. They're kind of on their own, and I could see it. Over time,
they're closer now because of the event.
And it wasn't like we got there and they were in a full-blown relationship. It was like there was just some attraction there.
Yeah, because I mean, I believe when we were watching 5, Wes was the one that had a thing for Jenna, and then Chad was with pink-haired girl that I can't remember because she was annoying. So we get that will they, won't they. Quinn cock blocks him. I actually do like, I cock blocked you. Did I why do you keep saying that? Once again, great dialogue for Quinn. I really liked Quinn. I really did like her. And then of course everyone sees the news report for I'm gonna keep calling him Tony, but his real name, he's Jason in the movie. The death of basically Samara Weaving, Tony, and his roommate. And Sam, Chad, and Mindy are freaking out. Tara's like, this is random. This is nothing big deal. Which are like, no, this is 100%, connected. Like we need to get the fuck out of here, kind of thing. Then we get the first actual Ghostface attack, which is the trailer, which is the convenience store thing. And I brought this up to Brian. I forgot to mention this in the non-spoiler. This thing bugged me throughout this whole movie. And Brian was like, dude, you gotta know, like, people don't do that. I was like, I would have done it. is they're walking down the street, and Sam's phone rings, and it's Richie. Obviously, not Richie because Richie's dead. And we know that it's Ghostface. And she picks it up and she starts talking on the phone. And Tara's right there. Tara knows who it is. Tara knows what's going on. But for some reason, Sam decides, you don't get to be a part of this conversation. And just keeps talking. Dude, no. If the characters here know what's going on, they know it's Ghostface, fucking put it on speakerphone. Bring her into the actual conversation.
You must be a big speakerphone user. I will never use speakerphone in public. I hate people who use speakerphone in public. Even if I'm standing there with friends and it involves plans that involve all of us, I'm not gonna be like, hey, let's all talk together. No, I'm gonna say what I say and then pass on what I need to pass on.
You're telling me if we were Samantha and Tara, which we'd be a hell of a lot more attractive. But let's say no. Let's say we were Samantha and Tara. I'm Samantha, you're Tara. And Ghostface is calling me. Aren't you gonna go, what the fuck's he saying? What the fuck's he saying? What's going on? No, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna be like, put him on speakerphone.
I would rather have you know what the fuck's going on. And we'll get into that further with Gail. But oh my God, people, fucking speakerphone. You could, with a speakerphone, you can put it in your pocket, and guess what? You have both your hands available for fighting. Both your hands are available. You're not going, oh no, you know how it is to shoot a gun with one arm or with one hand? It's not very steady. I don't care, Gail.
Okay, Sean, time to move on.
It's God, it irks me through the whole fucking film. Yeah. Or Bluetooth. You're not telling me these people don't have Apple Buds?
Well, they're not gonna be like, oh, can you please hold Ghostface? They put in, okay. All right, know what you're saying?
I mean, Gail did do that in a way. But obviously, and he attacks them right on the street too, which was so. I'm assuming that's
been a thing throughout Scream movies, though. It's one of those things that you just kind of have to overlook because there's so many times people have gotten snatched in the butches or out of public, and it's like they would totally be noticed by people.
Well, yeah, because it looked like he was basically on the steps, like in front of a light, like it just came out and tried to attack him. But they run into the store. We've seen this in the trailer. He basically goes in and fucking.
Yeah, they have almost the entire bodega scene is in there.
Pretty much. Yeah. Which once again, brutal, looked great. And the whole time I was thinking, just push the aisle on him. Like just push it. And which they do. And sure enough, as soon as they get out of there, the police show up. We get Detective Bailey finally pops in. Because that's Quinn's dad, and Quinn called him and said, hey, we want to talk to Sam.
By the way, his name is Wayne. I found that.
It's Wayne?
Wayne.
Okay. Because Sam's ID was at the murder location where Tony Revolori, aka Jason, and his roommate were found. So they think that Sam did it because, of course, Sam's the killer because the internet said so. Not police work. The internet did it. So we get that kind of whole spiel about what are your whereabouts, where are your alibis, stuff like that, which I find it hard to believe that they didn't immediately contact the therapist for the alibi. Basically saying, hey, where were you at? I mean, you're cops. It's New York.
Yeah.
Come on. But at that point, we also get the reintroduction, the surprise comeback of Hayden Panettiere as Kirby, which we both love. Hayden Panettiere.
I don't know if I buy her as FBI agent, but I'll take it.
Anything to get Kirby back, I'm fine. Because Kirby was the one character we never saw alive. She got stabbed, and we were believed for her to be dead. It wasn't until last year when I think it was Sydney or Gail was going through their phone, and you saw Kirby's name. And you're like, oh my God, is Kirby alive? And then they were like, yeah, Kirby's alive. And it's like, because we were never to believe that Kirby survived Scream 4. But I love Hayden Panettiere. She's been dealing with a lot of personal shit. So I was so happy to see her come back and do something. And especially as Kirby, because Kirby was such an awesome character. Kirby was like the perfect woman in Scream 4. So have her back to be an FBI agent. I still don't know if she really was. Did we ever get that?
They established she was an FBI agent, but she had been put on leave or let go or something 3 months earlier.
But that's the thing. That was what Wayne said. Wayne could have been lying for the mislead the whole time. So I don't know if that was actually true or not. Because Wayne said that. And Wayne, we find out, is the killer. So...
Well, I think we established she is an FBI agent. Whether or not she was on let go or whatever, we don't know that part.
Yeah, it's just... but yeah, I mean, she has her reasons for why she became an FBI agent. And it's sound. It totally makes sense. But we get her back. She decides she's going to join the case because it's Ghostface, which part of me was like, where were you last year when Ghostface happened again? But she was in Atlanta because apparently she's based out of Atlanta. So we get her. So we get that situation back. Then we get, isn't that when we get the whole big Mindy monologue about franchise?
It's about then, yeah.
I think it's that time.
Which what are your feelings on these rules speeches in general?
I was literally about to ask you the same thing. So I liked them when Jamie Kennedy did them because Randy's just Randy. Mindy, I don't know. I don't blame it on the actress. I think she delivers it fine. I just think at this point, it feels like school, and
it feels so fake to me because here's the thing: is in the first movie, a couple people had been killed. They had the town on curfew. They were having this party. Everybody's drunk, or whatever, at this party. He gives a speech about, oh, there are rules for surviving a horror movie. This is just like a horror movie, and it kind of felt natural. Ever since then, when they stopped the movie to give these rules, and especially in a situation like this, where like she's like, okay, here's the rules. Here's how we're gonna figure out, who's suspect and who's not, and things like this. Because it's like, no, these aren't. This is movies. This isn't actually how life works.
I think with
if a specific killer is trying to follow a movie pattern, that'd be one thing. But you don't know that this current killer is somebody who's following a movie pattern like you did in previous ones.
Which clearly they're not.
Yeah,
and that's one of the big focal points. Is that
so that's why this whole speech kind of felt. It was entertaining. I will give it that, but it felt like I do not believe the characters behaving like this and having this discussion calmly, for that matter,
it's
in
not
a real situation.
I want to see the text conversation like, hey, okay, Mindy needs to start to explain the movie to us, guys. Let's all come and meet at the quad here on the, and let's have Mindy fucking go over the rules with us, and then have all the newbies like, go like, okay, and just no, like when Randy did it in the first movie, he was drunk at a party, like you said. In the second movie, it's a sequel, and he was just talking to Dewey. It was just him and Dewey talking. It wasn't him going over everything else. And the third one, it was a videotape left behind after his death. So, okay. And that was basically, he made that on his own. The fourth one is not needed. It was basically because they did it in the first three. The fifth one with Mindy, I was just like, I don't think it's one of those movies. The best way I can describe this without pissing people off. These moments are for the idiots who don't know how to follow plot and story. So it's one of those things, and you and I both have said this. We hate when movies have to dumb down everything to say, okay, everybody, time for you guys to catch up. Let's explain all this shit that we already fucking know. So everyone who doesn't understand how plot and stories work, you guys get it. And that's what these things are. It stops the movie. It's almost like playing a video game, and you're already into like chapter 3, you already know how the buttons controls work, and then the tutorial starts popping up trying to teach you how to play the game. And it's like skip. Like, why are you telling me this now? Like, we're already into the mix of this. I don't need to know. And then I mean, I like that they bring up current shit. They brought up.
Well, like I said, it's an entertaining monologue.
It's unnecessary.
It's fun, and there's some fun dialogue in it, and it leads to. There's one moment which got me was when like they were talking about how we know it's none of us. We're all good except every one of you guys because we're from Woodsboro.
Yeah,
and my first reaction was half the killers have been from Woodsboro so far.
Like, if anything, no. And then that's when the other group's like, no, that means you're also like totally into it. You guys are all fucked up, which I like that combatantness back to it. But fucking Jack Champion, dude, I just could not get behind this kid.
I didn't have a problem with him in Avatar except for the fact that he said bro constantly.
And that bothered me for 2 seconds, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I mean, it's like a tick for him, but he is not good in this movie, and his lines always
he's so bland, and it's like so forgettable. It's like, why are you here?
I'm gonna die a virgin? God, I hope you do, because that's the line that you fucking came up with at that point. It's just every line he.
Well, to be fair, it becomes his death line. You're still gonna be a diversion.
I know it's I don't like it. He's the one character that just like you said, he's bland. He just stands out, and it's not in a good way. Like there's characters that stand out, and you're like, all right, yeah, I really like that person. And it's like, no, he stands out like a sore thumb in the worst way. He's just this character that just is there. and everyone's like, he's gonna be the killer. He's gonna be the killer. And then you're like, if he's not the killer, then you're wasting way too much time on him, and he needs to die in the bitchiest way
Yeah, he only
possible.
had 2 ways to go. He was either going to be the killer, or he was just gonna be, background, killer fodder number 12, where he was just gonna be a victim
And he would, and if he did die, he had to die the lamest way
Yeah.
possible for it to go that fits the character. But like it's one of those things where when we do, we'll get to the killer reveal later. I don't want to talk about it right now. But yeah, his performance is not good, and I hear people going, "Chad Champion was great in this." What movie were you watching? Because his performance is weak as shit through the whole.
Yeah.
He's the one performance that really, once again, is flat the whole way through. But anyway, we get the whole big monologue thing, which, like I said, I don't think it's needed anymore. I hope to God when they do Scream 7, since we've already done the franchise, what more is there to talk about now? Are we done with it?
Oh, I guarantee you there will be a monologue. It's just a matter of how they will twist it. Because I mean, they've obviously tried to make her to be the new Randy, and I guess it makes sense because maybe because she didn't know him growing up because he was dead. So it's like it's not even like he taught
Yeah,
her about
they
horror
never
movies or
met
things. So
Randy.
it just happens to have this same kind of rants that he does. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe because he saw the portrayal of him in Stab. I guess I don't know.
I mean, the only thing she would have had a connection to Randy would have been his tape in the third film where he describes a trilogy
Mhm.
and stories from their mom, and obviously the Stab movies. That's the only connective tissue she would have had to Randy in terms of knowing who he is. It's no different than Samantha knowing Billy Loomis.
Mhm.
She has pictures. I don't think she would ever know how Billy talks because I don't think he was ever on camera, talking at all. So that's why Skeet Ulrich is
Should have some home movies of some kind. I don't know.
sure her mom maybe something. I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, that's something about me too. Is like I was like she's never seen Billy Loomis, which is why he's obviously always in his like
Mhm.
death uniform. But like the way he talks, I'm like, you wouldn't know how Billy talks
Yeah.
at all because you never heard Billy talk.
I mean, I like having like that. Sorry, I'm going back to Randy. Just the fact they keep doing this with making these equivalents of people.
Yeah.
I do like them having like a new Randy because like even Hayden Panettiere, Kirby was kind of like the
Kirby was
new,
he was
she was kind of the new Randy for like one
her and
movie.
Culkin.
Yeah.
Culkin was Randy, and she was just like the female cool version of
And then
Randy.
in this one, and then now in these last two, they've made it Mindy, which I will admit leads to the stepbrother scene, where they're both like, on the count of 3, name your favorite movie.
Yes.
Did we just become best friends?
Yep. But yeah, so we get I think this is when we get to the actual apartment attack. I think here, unless I'm missing some parts here and there. I know we have parts with Kirby and Wayne discussing the mask because the killer
That's every little scene. It's fine.
No, I'm talking about how the killer keeps leaving a mask.
Yeah.
At each scene, which I actually liked that
Mhm.
because I noticed that too, and I was like, that's not his mask because his mask is gray and cracked, which I love the look of that new mask. I think that's a badass look.
It's kind of like what they did to the Michael Myers Halloween mask with the new Halloween movies.
Yeah,
Kind of that cracked look, and it makes it look so much cooler.
I mean, it looks more evil, and I
Instead of
love
like
it.
a one you bought from Walmart,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we get that trail thing that they're going backwards in terms of the masks. Each killer is dropping from the previous film, the third, fourth, all that kind of stuff. But we get the apartment attack, which before that, once everyone's at home base, hanging out there. We get some good character moments with the core four. Like I said, this is one thing I said in my non-spoiler review. I really, really enjoy these four people together. I think Jenna Ortega, Melissa Barrera, Mason Gooding, and Jasmine Savoy Brown. I love their interactions together. I love that they do feel like a family. I love how Chad is like the jock dude, but he's still such like a lovable nerd, like Randy. He is a very much like a Dewey / Randy-esque kind of character where he is this jock looking guy, but he actually is just a big nerd. And him really trying to get the core four thing to work, and they're all like, I'm not high five that. I really enjoyed that. And then when they all find out that Sam is hooking up with Danny from across the building, and them all just kind of embracing it, I really enjoyed these quieter moments with them to help develop these characters. Because if anyone needed character development, it was Chad and Mindy. They both needed more because they were just kind of typecast Randys in 5. And they needed these extra moments. And I love that they all kind of called out, well, Mindy called it out, Chad and Tara. Her seeing them two liking each other, like, oh, just make out already kind of thing. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed that stuff. And then, well, do you have anything about that? About
no, not till the attack. Go ahead. Yeah, no.
You what?
No, not till we get to the attack.
No, I'm talking about just the core 4 performance scenes.
Yeah, no, you covered everything there.
Okay, I didn't know if you agreed or disagreed or anything.
Oh no, I agree. I like them all. I actually enjoyed, the what's her name? I want to say Kamiko, Annika. I liked her too. But yeah, the core 4, I really enjoyed the relationship with those.
No, I like Annika too. I'm just not, but she was kind of just sitting in the living room on the couch, minding her own business during that whole scene. But we get this moment with Danny. Of course, they had to have, I guess, a shirtless scene for him. Like, he was just doing the ironing. It was like, there's the ambiguous shirtless scene. Which I do actually want to call back to this real quick. Ballsy for Chad to be at that Halloween party in the beginning, shirtless. Dude's got, like, I can't remember how many times he got stabbed, but he's wearing, he don't care. He wears those things like fucking badges of honor.
I was wondering sometimes, I'm like, because I hadn't rewatched a lot of them real recently, but I'm like thinking, I mean, are we missing? Should we have more stab marks and scar tissue and stuff? But then I remember one of the first times we saw Tara, she had her hands up, and I remember you could see where
she had the scar there from the hand wound. Because like that's the first thing I noticed was like I noticed that Chad was shirtless for the Halloween party. I was like, oh, good for you, man. Like,
I'm probably a badge of honor. Like, hey, ladies, look at me, I'm a survivor.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sure that leads to a lot of questions for people going, oh, dang, because he got stabbed at least 5 times, to my recollection.
And that's nothing. We'll get to that.
Yes. Paper cuts. But yeah, so we get Danny with his shirt off, ironing, and he looks across at Quinn. I mean, okay. She has sex a lot. If I lived next door, I probably would have been looking through that window too. But we see Ghostface standing over her, and Danny is basically trying to scream and holler, which he's not. What's funny is, and you can tell that that's how the movie theater or horror movie perception. He doesn't seem like he's that far away when he's screaming at her, but when we get to the ladder scene, then it's like twice as far away because he seems like they're like this close. And they're not listening to him, but then as soon when it comes to like, oh, they have to get across, now he's like really far away. But he tries calling Sam. She hangs up on him, which even you were like, fucking text.
I just keep calling her back until she's like, fine, it must be important. Answer it.
But the one thing that you and I were both thinking was like, dude, throw something at the window. Like, grab something. I mean, you have a 20-foot ladder in your apartment.
Yeah. Okay. Help me understand this. It's not like a step ladder. This is a full-size giant extendable ladder. You have like a 2-story house where you had to get up to the roof or something.
Which, coming from someone who actually works at a place that sells that shit, that ladder all the way condensed down is at least 6 feet, and then it extends out to about 18 feet. So that's not a small ladder. And
my thing is, why does he even have it in his apartment?
Why is that in his apartment? There's no reason for that to be in his apartment. The only thing I can think of, and it's not a good thought, is that clearly they're not in an area for a fire escape, and Danny's just really, really prepared for a fire, and he wants that ladder so he can put it out the window. But even then, it's not long enough for the ground. It's not going to save him. I'm trying to think of reasons why you would have it.
Maybe we don't know that he's the apartment supervisor. Superintendent.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so he's basically trying to get a hold of them. They aren't paying attention. Then we hear Quinn moaning and making noises in the next room, which they prefaced earlier that it was her having sex when Sam first comes home at the beginning of the movie. But then I can't remember. Oh, it was a picture. They sent a picture. Danny sent a picture to her, and it was her being grabbed. And so basically, they all just kind of surround the door, waiting to attack. But they realize that like all their knives have been taken and shit, and they don't have really any weapons. And Quinn just gets like chucked through the door, dead. And Ghostface is just in there, which my thought was like, dude, this Ghostface does not fuck around, because it is 5 against 1. 6 technically if you count Quinn, but Quinn's dead at this point technically. And this Ghostface don't fucking care. Like, he's like, I'm taking all of you out now, kind of thing. And then in true horror movie fashion, Jenna and Chad fucking bail. They bailed hardcore. The whole time I'm going, you left them. Like you went straight up lawyer in Jurassic Park. You ran to the fucking toilet and you left the kids in the car. Because I'm like, when are they going to realize that there's Mindy, who at this point has been stabbed, or no, she got slashed in the arm. That she's up there and Sam's still up there and they're still screaming and fighting and shit. And they're still running down the fucking stairs like, bitch, I'm gone. And then they realize that, and then they run back up. But yeah, this Ghostface comes straight at him, hardcore, slashes at Mindy. Sam runs to the kitchen trying to find a weapon. And then Anika, she fights back. But then, of course, this Ghostface don't fuck around.
Yeah.
Stabs her like basically right in the stomach and then proceeds to rip up, which is how Dewey died, by the way. But she's like the girl from Terrifier 2. It doesn't matter what damage you do to her. She's still gonna go, mommy, at the very end of it. But yeah, he's just stabbing her. And he's not even repeating stabbing her. He's just dragging that thing up going until Sam finally hits him in the back of the head with, I think it was the knife holder kind of thing. And they all kind of run into Quinn's room and barricades the door. Tara and Chad can't get back inside because Sam's got like fucking 4 locks on the door, which I told you yes, I understand having as many locks on the door as possible, but you literally have to use the key to unlock all 4. And if you're being chased by a killer, that is the worst fucking lock system to have because it's hard enough for you to get 1 lock to unlock when a killer's chasing you. You have to get 4. That's not smart. Not a good plan. But yeah, so we get it's a scene that we've seen many times before where Ghostface is banging on the other side. They got something barricading. He's gonna get through. But at this point, we get Danny with the super fucking extendable ladder, pushes it in there, and they have to basically climb across. And the whole time, Anika's just there, kind of okay, but really fucked up. Mindy's acting like she's about to die, bleeding out from an arm injury. It's like, you just got slashed. You're fine. But she's acting like she's got stabbed as bad as Anika did. Sam...
Well, the way Anika was cut, she would have been passed out within 30 seconds.
The pain alone.
The pain alone.
She would have been...
Much less blood loss.
Would she have made it into the bedroom? Yes, because they kind of drug her in there. But at that point, she would have been passed out on the bed or on the floor. She wouldn't have been just huddling over here like this, just kind of chilling.
And it's not, and she wouldn't be wide awake. She wouldn't be coherent. She certainly wouldn't be able to stand up and move around and crawl.
Yeah, because her fucking intestines would be trying to come out of her at that point. Not to mention, like I said, the blood loss. But Sam climbs across. And next it's supposed to be Anika, but Anika at this point Anika goes, no, you have to go, which I'm like, okay, Anika knows she's gonna die. She's basically saying, go, I'll hold him off. Not that she really would be able to do much, but it would be enough to get Mindy across because they do the goodbye kiss, and Mindy gets across, and they're like, okay, Anika, come on. And Anika starts to get it on the fucking ladder, and I'm like, nope, that doesn't work for me because you got stabbed up. And you are now perpendicular with a cut open like this. You know what's going to happen as soon as your hands go on the ladder? Everything falls out, which you're dead, you're in shock, or blood loss, pass out, and you're going to fall off the ladder regardless. Instead,
but they don't let her just go out like that. They make it worse.
Instead, she gets about 3/4 of the way through the ladder. She must have like the strongest shirt ever. Because that shirt keeps all her shit in, apparently, even though she got slashed upward. And then Ghostface decides, I'm not just going to dump the ladder, I'm going to fuck with her. That's what I loved about Ghostface. He was just like, I'm just going to keep shaking it. Because he could have easily just went and been done with it. He's like, no, I'm going to have fun with this.
Well, the other end, they were trying to hold it so it couldn't flip it.
I get that, but he looked like he was like just doing shit that just fuck with him kind of thing. And of course, we get to the inevitable moment that right before Sam can grab her, she falls. And not only does she fall, she fucking takes a header into the trash dumpster and falls. Not necessary. Anika didn't deserve that. It's almost like Jurassic World with the assistant. It's like you didn't have to kill her that brutal. Like that
It was
character
that scene in Titanic where there's one of the dudes falling when the ship's going under, and he like hits it and just flips on the way down.
Because that's the thing, like, because I was actually in a pretty packed theater for this, and like when she got stabbed initially, everyone was like, "Oh!" And then like as soon as she falls, like everyone was like, ah. And then she hits boing, and everyone goes, "Oh damn!" And everyone started laughing. It's like I get Scream's supposed to have some humor because there is some funny moments in the movie, but for fuck's sake, man, it's like she got ripped apart. Actually, we did skip something. Now that I'm actually replaying back, after the girls get done talking, we see Kirby come back. They leave the police station. They're getting hounded by reporters, and Gail comes back. And we get Gail. This is a problem that I have. So at the end of Scream 5, Gail, Good Morning America host at this point, basically says, I think Sydney asked her, "You going to write a book about this?" And she goes, "No, I'm done writing books about murderers and all that stuff. I'm going to write a book about Dewey." And Sydney's like, "I would love to read that book." We flash forward a year later, and Gail has done 100% what Gail from Scream 2 has done. She did write a book about the killings. She did not write a book about Dewey. And in the preface of writing that book, she buried Sam and Tara in said photo in the movie because she was like, "No, I helped you." And she's like I think like Sam read a quote, and she's like, "You're taking that out of context. That was a fucking literal quote." And then Gail's like, "Oh, yeah, well, sorry," kind of thing. It's like they completely just backpedal everything that Gail. Like,
yeah, if Gail was back to be an investigative reporter, if she was there as an investigative reporter as a way to get there and help use the connections and talk to the police and help, help them find the killer, things like that, that I could buy. But when she's just there, nope, I'm just want to do a story to stay relevant to whatever.
I was like, well, aren't you still Good Morning America? You shouldn't be a part of this. You're a host. That's not your job anymore. But to basically backpedal her whole character growth from losing Dewey and not wanting to basically praise the murderers of this to then completely just do exactly that. You just shit all over whatever character development you had in Scream 5, which really irked me. I did
to see such a change in her personality and her viewpoint only makes sense if you go with our ending, which we'll talk about later.
Yes, our actual ending the way the movie should have ended, it works perfectly. But if we didn't just give it away right there.
Well, no, there's some.
What we did like though was Tara punching Gail, because yes, we see Sam go for the punch and Gail ducks it like, "You don't think I've seen this before?" And then Tara, bam, just nailed him. Like, that was good. That was good. Just like even when I liked later, because like now we're back to the point where Gail shows up outside with after they escape the apartment attack. We get once again, like I said, the problem that I had there is that the reporters didn't hound Sam and Tara then. Like I said, Sam's supposed to be the killer. Sam's supposed to be orchestrating all this. They just got this attack, and there's let's see, Quinn technically dead. The man she was with was dead in the bathroom because he was all cut up and shit. And then Annika. So there's 3 dead, and no reporters were on Sam or Tara during this, or trying to at least get their attention from behind the police barricade. That's what I'm talking about. It's like they didn't continue that plot point. They kind of ended it after the Cherry Coke girl to a point. But obviously then at that point, Detective Bailey has been kicked off the words.
Case,
thank you. I was like, kicked off the crime. I was like, that's not the terminology. He's kicked off the case, but he's going to join them and basically try to hunt him down and kill him, obviously. And he does make the line, "All my kids are gone," which we were like, I picked up on that.
He said both. He said both of my kids are gone.
My kids are gone.
And we're like, wait, I'm like, did I miss?
Yeah, because I immediately was like, who's he lost another kid at some point? Like, I don't know who that is. So that was like a pay attention for that later kind of thing. Gail comes back, which is why I remember that we forgot about Gail at the beginning. And I love that one moment where Tara's like, "I'm sorry I punched you." She's like, "No, you're not." And she's like, "Yeah, you're right. I'm not." That great Jenna Ortega smile at that moment. But that's when we get to see that once again, here comes Jack Champion, who somehow just fucking flips the police thing off, like flips it off, just walks through. No one stopped him. I noticed that. And then he's like, "Oh, I was at econ, man. I had econ." I was like,
well, he did. Well, I think he was saying I was in a study group, study session, and there
"There's
was like a
hundreds of
whole
people
bunch of
there to
witnesses,
vouch
100
for him."
witnesses there, which
But that's the thing, though. If your friends and a roommate were all just attacked, and you think that you could be a part of being killed, I I would text, "Hey, man, are you okay?" I'm not gonna fucking go there. I'm not, dude. No, target on me at that point.
I'm gonna
But
go
we
check on
know,
my. I'm gonna go be with my friends.
yeah.
If I'm just a better friend than you.
I mean, I'd FaceTime them. Especially if they think I'm fucking a part of this, because that's exactly what happens. Chad fucking grabs him and he's like, "Where the fuck were you?" "I was in econ." But inevitably, this takes us to the Shrine Theater, which
That was a cool shrine.
it's a
I like
very,
it.
very cool shrine. Not really believable because I'm sorry, there's a lot of shit there that they would have never been able to get at all.
Well,
There's a
like
lot
what?
of, like, what?
Like what?
Fuck. If I had the pictures to go through, because there's so much there. There were certain things where I was like, "There's no way they would have gotten that."
Well, because it's everything that would have been evidence. It was clothing people were wearing that would have covered in blood. It was the weapons. It was things like that. And even like the TV that was smashed, it's still all evidence. And they even make the line, which we find out more about later. But they make the line that
Like, how did they get all
shouldn't
this?
shouldn't this all be evidence? He's like, yeah, some cops need money and they're willing to do
There's
things.
just certain things that I think if I can't, like I said, I had to go back and rewatch the scene, which we can't because we don't have the footage right now. There was a couple things I saw where I was like, there's no way they would have had that. There's no way they could have gotten that because it's something that not even the police would have gotten, kind of thing. But still, very, very cool. It was a cool scene. It was a cool moment. Tons of Easter eggs, obviously. But yeah, a little unbelievable. But not enough for me to like go, "Come on." It was like, all right, that's pretty sweet, kind of thing. Um, and from there, I believe I'm trying now. I'm trying to play the whole movie back in my head. I'm trying to remember what happens after the shrine. Oh no, they try to capture him in the park, kind of thing, which obviously doesn't work. But what I did like them stealing the cop car. Like, are we gonna put on the sirens? You think I was gonna steal a cop car and not do the sirens? It's like that was great. That was great. But I did like the callback to Randy in that scene too, where Mindy and them are in the van, like, "We are literally doing everything that every movie ever does that never fucking works." And then she describes how Randy died, and you can tell that Mindy didn't know that. It's like,
We're in a van.
in a van like this. Oh shit. Sorry. Thing. But then we get to me probably one of the better well done scenes of the movie, which is the Gale Ghostface fight. Which once again, fucking speakerphone, Gale, speakerphone, for fuck's sake. We saw this in the trailer. Granted, we didn't see the whole thing in the trailer, but I think everyone, you and me both, thought that Gale was gonna die in this. We were expecting Gale to die in this.
I
Honestly,
wish Gale had died in this.
what's that?
I kind of wish Gale had died in this.
I agree. I kind of wish Gale had died also. Because, like, part of me is thinking, like, Dewey's going to die in 5, Gale's going to die in 6, and they'll do, like, a Halloween H2, or no, a Halloween, the one after Halloween H2O where Jamie Lee Curtis came back and died in, like, the opening, like, scene. Kind of like what they did with Cotton in 3. It's like, Scream 7, Sydney's gonna finally die, and
I don't see him doing it that way. I see him doing it more like a well, I hate to say Last Jedi, where she'd play a major part in the movie but then die.
Honestly, if I'm calling an opening kill, if they're gonna bring Sydney back into the fold in 7, Mark dies in 7, which is Patrick Dempsey. He'll die, and that's what'll bring Sydney back into the fold. There's my predictions for Scream 7. If Nev Campbell's supposed to come back, that's my prediction for that, is Mark will die. But we get this attack with Gale. It starts exactly how the trailer is. Ghostface kills her boyfriend 1 year removed from Dewey. I mean, granted, they were separated, but still, you're moving on, Gale. Pretty fucking, once again, not really connecting with the Gale we saw at the end of fucking 5. We get to that fight. It's, like I said, it's really well done. It's shot really well. The choreography works well. Courtney Cox did really, really good with the stunt work on that. I don't know how much of her was actually her. But I think the fight of that actually worked incredibly well. I enjoyed that scene. I was not expecting to enjoy it. I was kind of like, all right, we already know what's going to happen. Let's move. But halfway through that fight, I think it was after they ran out on the deck and ran back through, I was like, all right, this scene's actually like got me. Like, I'm actually like, okay, I'm in this now. Were you kind of the same way, or were you just kind of like, all right, let's fucking kill her and move on?
Little of both, because I was kind of like, okay, let's kill her and move on. But at the same time, it turned out to be actually very well done.
Yeah, I mean, and once again, like the part that bothered me with Gail is, even as you said, you're like the 10th person that's tried to do this. Yet she still kept making the same stupid ass mistakes. Let me shoot random gunshots at doors that you have no idea that anyone's behind. You have so many bullets, Gail. Use them wisely.
I'm hoping those doors, I'm hoping those walls that she's shooting through don't like lead to other apartments.
Where she was living at, probably not. Which you brought up too is like, you're telling me with all those gunshots, the fucking police, no one fucking heard any of that stuff. Which I would also argue that no one heard during the apartment attack. Like all these, like all the neighbors around Sam and all them, they didn't hear the screaming and all that crap. No,
maybe it's just any other day in New York City.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, yeah, especially when they're on the ladder and they're screaming. Like, you're not telling me anyone's going to go, shut the fuck. Oh shit, because it's New York. They would have said, shut the fuck up.
That would have been a funny scene. Somebody shut the shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and Annika's falling down right in front of him. Oh, damn, that girl dead.
So they left that to the people in your theater.
Oh shit, that's Ghostface. Thing. But yeah, the whole Gale thing with her shooting just randomly. But as much as I'm annoyed with her not using speakerphone, and as much as I'm annoyed at her just randomly shooting everywhere, the whole scene was fucking brilliant. When she literally goes, "Hold, please," and you go, "Wait, what?" And you hear Ghostface going, "What?" I love that.
That was a great moment. Yeah.
That was a great moment. And then calling him basically back, I was like, ooh. Now you're actually being smart, Gail. Good one. And then, she flips him, which based off of the conversation later in the film, this is Quinn, flips him onto the table, and, the knife's hanging out there. And you're like, this is how she's going to die. She's going to go for the knife, much like how Dewey fucked up. And I remember everyone in the theater collectively gasped when Ghostface grabbed the shard of glass and stabbed her. It was really well done. I thought that was really well shot. I think the shock surprise was really great in that. It almost looked like Ghostface intentionally did that to bait her in to try to grab the knife, which once again, why Gale didn't just pick up the gun and fucking shoot him in the head. Because, hello, Gale, this is your 10th go around on this. You're smarter than that. Now, granted, she could have been out of bullets at that point because she was blowing bullets all over the place, but I'm pretty sure with that kind of gun, she would have had at least 5 bullets left. But naturally, she gets stabbed. No, there was more bullets because Sam picked up the gun and started shooting. So yeah, there were more bullets. So Gale just decided to be stupid about it. You actually forgot. You thought the ambulance didn't show up. You don't remember that. You didn't remember that because you're like,
I didn't. At
die.
this point, when I talked to you, I'd already seen the movie like a day before. And even now, I actually had been hoping to see it a second time before we talked today. But yeah, at the time, I forgot the ambulance showed up because I was like, oh, that's a great death scene for her. I'm glad she's dead. And then, of course, I mean, anybody watching this already knows at the end, it turns out she's alive. And I'm like, oh, come on.
But honestly, it's a line that you missed because you're like, I didn't hear it. And I was like, yeah, it's not like you see her again. It's more like you hear it. Yeah, Gale made it and Mindy made it.
No, I heard that line. I heard that line, and I hated that line because I was like, oh, come on. But then when I heard the line, what I was thinking is like, how did she live? Because there wasn't anybody there to give her immediate response. But then I had forgotten the ambulance showed up. Yes.
Yeah. So at that point, that's when they decided to do the whole kill box thing, which in theory is not a bad idea, but that's a big fucking movie theater. That's a horrible place.
It's a big movie theater. It's in theory the killer's turf, so he knows it better than you.
And there's knives everywhere in that place. It's not a good plan. It really isn't. The thought of it is good. The location is shit. It's really a bad plan. But we do then go into the point where Bailey tells them to stick together, don't get separated, and travel in crowded areas, which I'm like, do you not know Ghostface? Like, it's a knife. It's a prison shank movie at that point. He can just walk by, go, and keep fucking walking, and there's too many people around, especially on was it the day before Halloween or on Halloween night? there's hundreds of ghost faces out there. That's a stupid ass fucking plan. But we get to the subway scene. Mindy and fucking Jack Champion, what's his name? Ethan. They get separated, which of course Mindy's doing the whole thing. Like, I don't trust you. And Danny, Sam, Tara, and Chad all get on one train. And of course, naturally, there are multiple ghost faces on that train. So obviously you have the one that and I did like this moment. Not that it's a big moment, but it was a moment that I liked. Was when that one ghost face looks like he's looking at Sam. He's making the beeline towards her, and right before he gets there, Danny fucking just gets right in front of her like, nah, shield kind of thing. And then it veers off and goes off. I'm just like, I liked that for the Danny character. It was a very good, like, he's willing to fucking die for Sam. Which at the point we still don't know if Danny's a killer or not, but even still, I liked that scene. I like that scene for Danny. But naturally, we saw this in the trailer. Unless it was a tease, which it wasn't. We knew Mindy was the one that was going to get attacked because we see Mindy get attacked on the train in the trailer. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I necessarily dig that attack because I still find it very hard to believe that no one would have seen it. Granted, I know it happened in the dark, but like by the time the lights came on, like this guy's literally holding her mouth shut, and like they're both on the ground, and there's people standing like literally like not even like 6 inches away from them. I kind of don't buy. Like I've never been to New York.
I was gonna say, maybe are we writing that off again to New York City? People just learn to just mind their own business and ignore everything. And
I guess because I'm sorry, I damn us for not being New Yorkers, but I'm sorry. I would have noticed that shit instantly. Yeah. Also, I would have noticed that some dude was pushing me out of the way to go fucking stab this girl that's right next to me as well.
Also, if I recall, isn't this another one of those where he stabs her and twists it?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the thing that happened in 5 too. I'm sorry, guys. And do we want to get into the whole thing yet, or do we want to wait till we get to the actual third act fight?
I guess we can wait for that, but
okay, we'll hold off on that. But yes, the twist is something we're definitely going to touch base on. But anyway, they get to the theater. They can't get a hold of Mindy because for some reason cell service at that exact moment doesn't want to work for anyone. Why? Because the movie needs you not to know if Mindy's alive or not. So they get into the kill box, and then of course Bailey calls Sam, basically says, "Hey, Kirby's the killer. Kirby got fired because she's mentally unstable. You're in trouble. Bye." And hangs up the fucking phone. And then, of course, because we want you to believe it's Kirby, Kirby does this, locks the door, and then and walks off screen. It's like, why? Like, I get this. You're trying to subvert us to think
you got to play it up, yeah.
And the whole time I'm going, there's one way to fucking ruin this movie for me, and that's to make fucking Kirby the killer. Just because we love Kirby. It's like, don't you fucking make Kirby the killer, please.
I will say, just to keep a running tally at this point, because early on, when I first saw Joe Moroni, my thought was, I bet he's one of the killers. I bet he is. I didn't have any evidence. I'm not going to pretend I'm some big detective. I was just like, I bet it's him. And then by the time I got to this scene, when he was accusing her, I'm like, my thought was, I think it's him and Kirby. I thought it was the two of them somehow working together.
Based off of what we had seen with Ghostface, because this Ghostface was like a tank. Like, it could fucking destroy some shit. It was based off of the cast we knew. It had to be either Danny or Bailey, because they're the ones with the body type outside of. And Chad's like tone, but Chad's not buff. Chad's like he's a lean tone dude. But he's not Danny and he's not Bailey. But it's like, so it's gotta be one of those two because they're the only two.
Well, but that doesn't mean anything, because I mean, in the last movie, what's her name? Was able to lift up Dewey and things like. If you go through all these movies and realize which killer it was that did certain things, there's no way it works out. It's just one of those things you just gotta kind of ignore. But
yeah, fucking Amanda apparently has superhuman strength when she's got the ghost face mask on. Maybe she took some steroids or something right before, did some pumps. I gotta pick up Dewey. But also, once we are in the shrine, which we also kind of forgot about that when they got to the shrine the first time, Billy's back, and he's talking to Sam, and he's making Sam try to go dark side, to the point where she almost gets into this kind of like fucking trance kind of thing, where she's like, I'm gonna do it, and then fucking Tara's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? What are you doing?" Which we'll hold off on what we were going to talk about there, but we need to establish that Billy starts to show up again, which is the whole reason why Sam was going to the therapist in the first place, was to try to get Billy out of her head, and that's why she's taking meds and all that shit. But naturally, we finally get the moment with Chad and Tara. They finally kiss. They finally have their moment, and within like 2 seconds of that moment, here comes fucking Ghostface to stab Tara. Now, initially, it looked like he stabbed her in the lower back, but later it looked like she got stabbed up in the upper like shoulder, based off of where the wound was. But either way, it's a fucking stab in the back. But so now we're into the big actual third act finale. Tara gets stabbed. Mason Gooding, aka Chad, doing a really fucking good job fighting Ghostface. I mean, he's ducking, weaving, he's getting some fucking good punches in. But apparently, if you wear a Ghostface mask, you don't get bruised, because whoever he was punching should have had some black eyes. Should have had
and this is the scene. This is one of many scenes in this entire movie, but this is the one scene especially where it really bothers me.
Both.
in every Scream movie, this has been the thing, but it's been the worst in these last ones, and in this scene especially, in that every time they knock a killer down or something like that, even if he loses the knife, gets knocked on the ground, and he appears like he's at least dazed or conscious, they don't jump on him and keep beating him. They don't smack him with a brick. They don't curb stomp him. They don't even reveal his mask. They say, "Oh, he's down. Let's go." They leave. It's like, no, you keep going until you just say,
because once again, what was the fucking plan? The plan was to get the killer inside and kill him. That was the plan. Why would you run away at that point? The plan's working.
And at this point, they don't know there's more than one killer.
No, we don't.
So as far as they know, this is the only one. You don't have to worry about anybody else. Just keep hitting this dude.
So why at this point are you letting the killer get back up eventually and come back at you for another round? No, fucking finish him. Like, and you have the upper hand. Take the mask off. Like, there's your shock factor, right? Or at least if you're not going to kill him right there, take the fucking mask off so next time that when they come back, you're like, oh, I don't have the... No, that's fucking you. I fucking hit you in the face. I saw who you are. You're the killer. And they just run away. And like, the only thing I could think of at that point was that because Tara got stabbed, that's why they chose to run. But I still was like, you and I were like, no, fucking finish the job, Chad. Yeah. Finish the fucking job. Which at that point, they start running. They get running all around. We start to notice that there are multiple killers at this point. They get right back to where they literally were at, where he beat Ghostface up. And Chad basically gets stabbed like
20 times?
20 to 50 times. And to the point where he's like almost doing the, oh God, what movie was it? It was a movie where this guy is like, oh God, I feel like it's a monster movie where he's like holding, like it's a dinosaur movie or it's a monster movie where he's holding the dinosaurs and they're just scratching and clawing him and he's like holding them at bay while they run off, while the other people run off. And he's basically doing that. He's basically kind of like keeping the two ghost faces busy while they're just stabbing away.
Both of them.
And he's like, run. Because like, oh, damn. Like, well, fuck, there goes Chad. Damn it. Because I really like Chad. Chad's dead. And then, Tara and Sam run to the main area. And then that's where we get Kirby runs out. And Kirby is fucked up. Kirby has gotten hit in the head. So you think, okay, well, Kirby is the killer because Chad fucked up the one that he was fighting, and she is fucked up in the face, and we never saw her get fucked up. So naturally, that has to be, the other ghost face. And then Bailey shows up, shoots Kirby, and thus we get the killer reveal that it is Detective Bailey, Ethan, and Quinn, who's still alive. And this was my literal reaction, like with the Samara Weaving thing. This was my reaction at each reveal. Bailey, that makes sense. Then Ethan, Quinn, huh? That was literally my reaction for all three.
Here's my reaction for all three of them. Yeah.
Now, I said this in my non-spoiler, I am not upset with the killer reveals. I think Bailey was, because, like I said, we both thought it was going to be Maroney or Danny because of the size. It makes sense. a cop is Ghostface. That makes sense why he was able to escape and do certain things. Ethan...
And get all the evidence.
Yeah, and all the evidence in the shrine. Ethan, fuck off, Ethan. Quinn, I was like, okay, explain. But that's the part. This is the part where it kind of goes off the deep end. Here is the whole super ass fucking monologue, and it's a really long fucking monologue. And at this point, I'm pretty sure Ethan slashes at Sam and then stabs Sam in like the collarbone. And this is when we get to the part that we really have the big issues with. But first, these monologues that we find out that everything has to do with Richie and that this is Richie's family, which in true Scream fashion, this is the second movie of the trilogy. So naturally, the killer is the parent of the killer from the first film. Billy Loomis's mom was the killer in Scream 2. Now, Richie's father and effectively brother and sister are the killers in Scream 6. It also explains why Bailey said, both my children are dead, even though he totally left out Ethan because Ethan's irrelevant.
Well, that wasn't dead yet.
Well, yeah, but he said both my children are dead.
Yeah.
So it means that he's not counting his third child. But basically, we find out that fucking Bailey is really, really supportive dad in terms of really wanting to be into horror shit and wanting to like really like, which it was, I don't know if I bought that.
Yeah, so when Richie went all overboard on this Reddit board and thing, got into this, he's the one who helped him to create this shrine.
It was when he was a kid, he loved it because they showed like footage of him like as a kid talking about him like shooting his videos and stuff.
Yeah, he did all that stuff. But here's my thing is okay, so you hold her responsible for the death of your son. You want her dead. That's fine. I don't know why he goes through this whole production of the Ghostface and terrorizing her and just to kill this woman. He could easily get revenge on her any other way, kill her any other way.
And then
this whole production, and his kids, other two kids, get in on it for no apparent reason.
Quinn is the one that apparently starts the theory that Sam is the killer.
Yeah, she's
the one that starts everything to get Sam turned into the villain of the story, and then Ethan's just there. Because Ethan's irrelevant. But also, like, that's the other thing too, is like, go through those productions, like, put on the mask, put on your dad's mask. You can put on the mask afterwards. You can kill her and put the mask on. You don't have to have her put the mask on right now.
Right.
You know, but even in their crazy deluded minds, they're like, you are the killer. You are the murderer. And it's like, well, they all went off the deep end. But it's one of those things where it's like, how fucked up is this family that you actually did get all three of them? Where's the mom, first off? I don't remember that ever.
To create how many murders?
Yeah. Exactly. And be on board with this the whole fucking way. And just, yeah, go do this whole big thing. But once we get past this whole overly long, ridiculous monologue, which once again, I said in my non-spoiler review, I'm not upset about the killers. Except for Ethan, because I think Ethan was fucking like so on the nose and pointless, which even they call it out like, fucking Mindy was right all along. It was so me. No one cares, Ethan. Shut the fuck up. We're more excited that Quinn's still alive and Bailey's the killer. But it was like, I wasn't upset with the killer reveals. I was more upset with the reasoning and the execution behind it. And yes, this movie does say that it is not like every other killer. That this is not like a Scream you've ever seen before. Because you're right. But it's also no different than Scream 2. Loomis's mom was not a fan of the films. Loomis's mom didn't care about the Stab movie or Scream movie, you know, anything like that. This is more of a personal vendetta, revenge plot to kill Sydney or to kill Sam because you killed their child.
Yeah, this killer reveal and motivation stuff to me felt just like every single other Scream movie to me. And the problem with that is that all these Scream movies have this thing where it's not like, oh, if I'm watching for the clues, then I can predict the ending. It's just like, it feels like they make the movie.
Who's the connective link to this?
It's like they get to the end of the movie and then they just draw names out of a hat. And the killers are this person and this person. Okay, cool. That's how we're going to do.
Yeah, and it's like every movie has to have a connective link, except for 5. 5 was the only one that had no connective link. it was forcibly connected because Richie, sought out Sam and dated Sam. Because in the first movie, you got Stu and Billy. Billy's dad slept with Sydney's mom, which caused his parents to get divorced. There's a connective tissue there. 2 was Billy's mom, and then she had, an accomplice. 3, Sydney's half brother. 4, Jill, Sydney's niece, cousin, cousin. I can't remember.
Cousin.
It's one or the other. 5 is the only one where there isn't a connective tissue, but it started a whole new line because now these killers are connected to Richie, the killer. It basically just started the whole thing over again. But it was just the whole thing where it was just like that whole long monologue. I was just like, it was very convoluted because like the whole time I'm trying to like piece everything that they're saying and kind of just compile it up together. But like I said, I'm not mad at the killer reveal because as you go back and rethink about the stuff in the movie, you're like, Bailey being the killer makes total fucking sense. There's so many things that happen throughout the film. We were like, only Bailey could have pulled that off. But then you can go back and watch the movie, or at least replay the movie, and you can go, I know who was the killer at each point. Ethan was the killer in the store because he's weak enough to get dumped over by the fucking aisle thing. Quinn announced that she was the one who stabbed Gail, so we know that one. Bailey was clearly in the apartment because he was strong enough to fucking, bust the doors and do all that shit. And plus, it couldn't be Quinn, and it couldn't be Ethan because Ethan was at Econ. Quinn was also on the subway because Bailey was at the office, stuff like that. So like you can pretty much figure out, pinpoint who was the Ghostface at each point in this movie. Much like the last movie, you can pretty much pinpoint which one was Amanda and which one was Richie, no matter how ridiculous it was, because Amanda trying to kill Dewey was fucking ridiculous. But thus we then get the big fight out of this whole thing, which brings up the problem that Brian and I have with this film. And it's not just us. From everyone that I keep seeing, everyone has been bringing this up as a legitimate gripe with the movie. And Brian probably said it best in his Letterboxd review, which was that the core 4 of this film have I'm not going to say bulletproof armor. They have knife armor to the effectiveness of the Fast and Furious characters franchise, where they can take any amount of abuse and still be okay. Because by the end of this movie, Chad made it. Chad gets like, at this point, if we're counting numbers, he's between 30 and 50 knife strikes. His insides have to just be, threads. Yet he's still alive. Mindy has gotten stabbed at least 4 times. Or did she get shot in the first one? Did she get shot or stabbed?
I don't recall, honestly.
I can't remember. She got shot or stabbed, but then she got stabbed here and stabbed in the gut, and twisted. Which, okay, let's bring up the twist part of this now.
Yeah, it's no longer a cut in your artery or whatever. It's a big gaping hole that's just going to dump blood and stuff.
Yeah, when you twist a blade, that means that it's almost inoperable. Like it's almost impossible to a point to surgically repair that, because you've done so much damage by twisting the knife. That's why it's called twisting the fucking knife. But yet Mindy's fine and walking around at the end of this like she is totally fine. Sam gets stabbed in the side and twisted at the end of Scream 5. Totally fine. She probably gets the least amount of damage in the movie. She gets slashed and she gets stabbed up here. And then bangs her head on stuff. Tara got stabbed 7 times in the first movie, broke her ankle, knife through her hand. And this, she gets stabbed in the back, whether it's upper or lower, doesn't matter. But then she also gets stabbed straight on in the gut. And then still has the ability to then stab, twist, and kill. Well, no, she doesn't kill. Stabs and twists in the mouth of Ethan.
Which, let me address this for a moment. Something, I think these directors or whoever have this obsession with like bodily orifices, because the psychologist gets the knife through the eyeball. Somebody else got it through the nose.
No, not the eyeball. That happened in 5 too, because Wes got it right here in the throat.
Mm-hmm.
The therapist got it here through the nose.
Oh, through the nose. Yeah, so it's got the eye, and then he gets it through the mouth, and it's like, okay.
Bailey got the eye.
Bailey, that's who it was. Yeah.
Bailey got the eye. And every time, and this is maybe the sick part of my brain, but in 5 when Wes gets stabbed here, part of me's like, just rip it out. Just rip it out to the side. Because it literally looks like it's just a flab. You can just rip it off to the side. But yeah, I guess they really wanted to make a focus point on stabbing in the face in this new franchise, because they really do focus on going after the face this time around. But it's the problem is that especially Jenna or Tara's fucked up royally. Same thing with Chad. And we'll go back to the inevitable final battle and shit. But once everyone's dead, Tara is like, let's sit down and have a conversation. Let's hang out and chill. No, you got stabbed in the fucking stomach and in the back. You need to go into surgery. You're bleeding out. You're going to die. No, let's drop me off the fucking second story thing. I'll land on my feet and then stab this guy after getting stabbed. No, that's not how bodies work. It isn't.
Well, didn't have another option. They're both going to die if she didn't try that.
At least Chad didn't get up and walk after getting
well, that's just it. Is I was talking about how everybody can get stabbed and shot and everything, and then not only do they survive, in some cases bafflingly so, but they can and they can get up, they can walk around when they would not be able to even walk around half the time, both from just blood loss and from just not being able to move. But also they're able to fight off people. They get up and run away, and a lot of times they have little more than a limp, and it's like you would not be able to.
And that's the part that really bugged me about the end, is that like at the end we have basically Danny, Sam, and Tara walking off in the sunset. I'm sorry, Tara should not just be walking like nothing's wrong. Sam, she got stabbed here. She should still be going to the hospital. But they're all just walking off like Vin Diesel and The Rock at the end of the movie, like, we bad, we good. Like, no, you are seriously hurt. You have internal injuries. You need to go to a hospital. And then, like I said, Mindy shows up, and Mindy's running around going, guys, I found out who the killer is. I am on a lot of drugs. That does not save you from knowing that you should not be walking around right now, because you got stabbed and twisted, and you should be in surgery right now, because there's no time frame at this point that tells me that you have been at a hospital and medically cleared to leave hospital to come to a crime scene where your family is at. And it's they need to, like, you remember in Scream 1 when you got stabbed, you basically died?
You did. I remember there was kind of a, well, I felt it, and a lot of other people felt kind of cheated too, when at the end of, was it 1 or 2? No, 2, where Dewey lives, and you're like, no, Dewey should be dead. But then they play it off with like,
Dewey got stabbed like 9,
or no, but they play it off with like, okay, he had scar tissue there, so they kind of helped him survive because it wasn't able to cut things. I'm like, okay, it's that doesn't make any sense, but fine, I'll buy it. But now it's like you can get stabbed or shot or whatever 15 times, and at the end they'll put a band-aid on it and you'll be fine.
But there's a reason why Sydney and Gail got hurt a lot. There's a reason why Sydney didn't get damaged that much. It's because you had to believe that she would survive at the end. Sydney, I don't think, ever got stabbed until the 4th movie. I don't think she ever got stabbed in 3. I don't think she ever got stabbed in 2. I don't think she ever got stabbed in 1. She got her head bashed against like a wall or something. But Sydney, I think, went through stabless until the 4th film. And then in the 5th film, she got stabbed. Gail's gotten shot like, I think, 2 or 3 times and stabbed. And it's guys, come on, you gotta. Yet, what was it? I think Kirby, she only got stabbed the 1 time, and then I think Twist, and we thought she was dead until she shows up in this movie. But they really need to like chill the fuck out with this, because you're basically making people believe that you can get stabbed 28 times in cases of Chad and you're okay. No, you're not. You get stabbed 3 times, you're dead. Like, let's be real here, guys. You get stabbed 1 time, depending on where you get stabbed. And sometimes you're getting stabbed in areas, because like when Gail gets stabbed the first time, it's a downward stab here. That's hitting heart. That's hitting lungs. You're dead at that point. And she still, and that was at the very start of the fight. And she kept fighting after that. No, that's not how that works. That's not how the body works, guys. These knives are not like small, like fucking like little pocket knives. These are fucking big ass fucking blades. There's no way. But anyway, we had to get that one off our chest, because that was really bugging Brian and I after this. But like I said, we get the fights. Jenna Tara stabs Ethan in the mouth and twists, but yet, of course, he can't die that way because you have to basically do a headshot, which I will admit his death actually was funny. So even though he was the lamest character, he did have the funniest death. Quinn straight up got shot in the face. I mean, it is what it is. But Bailey, this is where we're going to get to the point where we describe Scream 5. Our ending to Scream 5 was way better than the ending that they gave us. Amanda and Richie were horrible killers, and we're not saying that they shouldn't have still been the killers. But you built this whole movie up that Sam has this ghost on her shoulder of Billy, basically trying to talk to her, edge her into being a killer, edge her to doing this. We get to that inevitable point in the 5th film when she's about to die by Richie, and Billy's ghost in a mirror basically tells her, there's a knife there, grab it, do it, become what you're supposed to become. And she stabs Richie, was it like 21 times, and kills him. And then she stands up, and she's still adrenaline fueled and stuff like that. And fucking Gail and Sydney both come up side by side with her. Brian, finish what our ending was supposed to be.
But I don't remember the details of it. You've looked into this more recently.
I know the details of it, but go.
Basically, I only remember this conversation from a year ago when we talked about it. Yes. Was that we wanted basically Sam to be the killer. I honestly don't remember the details of the conversation. I'll let you go into it because I don't remember this one.
Not necessarily that Sam was the killer.
I don't remember though.
Sam wasn't the killer through the whole film. Sam was at that point basically what they described in this movie hit the tipping point, and Sam basically went full dark side. And at that point, because Gail hands her the gun at that point, basically says, you got to shoot him in the head. They're not dead until you shoot him in the head. She shoots Richie, and then she was going to turn around and shoot Gail and kill Gail. And then Sydney was going to come at her, and then she was going to turn around and stab Sydney. And then Sam was going to say, Sydney's like, and she was going to say something along the lines of like, that this is for Billy or something along that to basically show the full on embracing the Billy Loomis thing and effectively kill Sydney, kill the legacy characters and move on. But in our ending, Tara was still locked up in the closet. So Tara has no idea, neither does Mindy and neither does Chad. So the movie effectively ends with everyone still coming out of it except for Sydney and Gail, and you not knowing what's going to come of this because Sam has fully embraced Billy and become this new version of Ghostface. But she's not trying to go out and kill everybody, but she has now basically become the serial killer that her father always wanted her to be. And that's how the Scream 5 ended, which is a way better fucking ending.
Yeah, and you still have your new final girl in the form of Tara.
And it's no different.
She does not know that Sam is now, it was not the killer there, but she's thing going forward.
And here's the thing. It actually works still with the plot of Scream 6. It works brilliantly into it, except that Gail's dead. Everyone knows that Richie and Amanda were the killers, but there's this conspiracy theory out there that Sam is the killer, except Sam didn't do all those killings. Sam just killed Gail and Sid. But it is true. She is a killer. And they even call it throughout the movie that Sam is his killer. It works. Our ending works perfectly with this film. So when she does finally see Billy again, and you can tell that she doesn't want to be a killer, so she goes to a therapist, takes pills because she doesn't want to see Billy because she doesn't want to be a killer. But then when we get to this inevitable third act, she has to embrace the killer side again, and she goes full dark side by donning Billy's suit and taking Billy's knife and doing the voice thing. And she goes full on, and you see it in her eyes to the point that when Tara comes up to her like, what the fuck are you doing? But then, she's like, I'm not my father. I'm not going to kill you. And then looks at Tara, and Tara's like, yeah, you are. Do it. And then fucking stabs in the face. Yes, now you're bringing Tara into it, and you're embracing that Sam is a killer. And then at the end of the movie, when they're doing the whole like getting ready to walk off, and you see her with Billy's mask, she keeps the mask because she is the new Ghostface. But instead, they fucking make her drop it. I was like, because like now
they keep teasing this better version of the movie that I want to see, but it's like now I feel like if they do go that direction, they've waited too long. They needed to do it in this movie because now it's been too telegraphed and set up, and plus now you've fully made them both like the heroes of the
Fully
show.
aware.
And so people would freak out if they made them the killers. But oh yeah.
That's not the end. That's not the great ending
But
we
that's
have
not
in
only
the
for
sixth
this
film.
movie. Yes.
But our ending of 5,
Because
which
they
is
didn't go that way in the
literally
last one.
What's that?
Because they didn't go our way in the last one. There was still a way we found a new one for this one.
But still, that's the thing, is like our ending flows beautifully into 6. It's oh my god, our ending works so beautiful to go into the 6th film. And it hurts that we don't have our ending. But that's not how we would have ended this. So yes, we'll finish talking about the film and then we'll add our ending to it. So effectively, she kills Bailey. Once again, everyone's walking around like they aren't hurt, even though they are. Danny shows back up because we left that out, that she told Danny that you can't come into the theater because you're not Woodsboro. Which, once again, I think that's a stupid argument, because once again, the whole plan is to get the killer in the kill box. If Danny is potentially the killer, wouldn't you want him to come in? Because he's then trapped inside. Which, Brian digress, but you don't know he's the killer. You don't want to be taken by surprise, which
you have him in there with you, thinking he's with you, but you want to have anybody that comes in that's not your core 4 is obviously the killer.
But in my defense, if he's not the killer, that's another fucking muscle you have in there to help.
If he is the killer, while he's in there with you, he just stabs you in the side when you're not looking.
I mean, that happened anyway. That happened anyway, so why does it matter? But anyway, we talked about the end part already, so that's the film. Our ending. Actually, I did Scream 5. Brian, give away the actual great ending that we actually had that actually works better than Richie's family being the killers in Scream 6.
In this movie, we felt, and again, a lot of Scream fans would never stand for this.
And hold on before you go. And we're not just throwing a fucking ending, throwing an ending. Based off of the film and things said in the film, this and the previous film, this ending works. It's not us just throwing in a big ending. This ending actually fucking works. Continue.
So basically, the way we figure it, what could have been very interesting if you wanted to actually really make it something different, if you want to take a twist on the expectations, Gail is behind this whole thing. She's not the killer, because obviously she's not going to be strong enough to commit these things. But she could have helped through the internet or whatever, and even her stories and books she's written. She could have helped radicalize these people into thinking that Sam was behind it and stuff, and turn on her. And she could be behind these killers going out. Her whole motivation, though, Dewey is dead. So this love of her life,
her moral compass of being a good person is gone. Sydney is gone, and effectively as well.
Yeah, so Dewey's gone. She's distraught over that. She may have mentally snapped. And she's not going to attack Sydney probably, but that's just Sydney's not here, so that's not an issue. Sydney's safe. She's off in her whole world.
She don't give a fuck.
But Gail, in her grief or whatever, realizes that, you know what? Dewey was out. Dewey was safe. These people brought him back into this world, and these kids are responsible for his death. And so she wants to turn, and she flips or whatever. She turns, wants to hold them responsible. And so she does what she knows best, which is this whole Ghostface thing. She, with the help of, even if it was Richie's family, whoever she radicalized, could have got to help her out.
We brought up that her boyfriend's a big hulking dude. She could have found 2 guys, much like Loomis's mom found. I'm blanking on Oliphant's name in the movie. She finds guys. She hires guys because she's got the money, and maybe she lost her host job at Good Morning America. And like they said, you need to be relevant because you're not relevant without Ghostface. You're fucking right. She's not relevant without Ghostface. So what's she do? She brings Ghostface back her own way. She's the mastermind, much like Jill was in Scream 4. She's orchestrating this whole thing. She's hired 2 basically bulked ass dudes to basically be the ghost faces for her. And she is the actual killer. Because like Brian said, Dewey would have still been alive if it wasn't for Sam and Richie, technically. It's not Tara's fault. It's Sam's fault. Sydney wouldn't have been in danger, and she got brought back into it. And effectively, Gail got brought back into it. She had moved on from the Ghostface stuff. But then with Dewey's death and the year of her having to deal with that loss and everything like that, she and feeling that she needs to be relevant again, she snaps and she dons it. And then, bringing Kirby in is just a welcoming surprise because she gets to finish everybody at that point except for Sydney. And we think that ending makes a hell of a lot more sense.
It makes a hell of a lot more sense. It would have been more exciting. It would have been more unique. It would have been unexpected. Again, there are fans who are like, no, you can't turn any of the good guys bad. But in the course of the story, it makes sense.
I mean, we're already kind of seeing that element with Sam anyway, where she's eventually going to go full-fledged psycho. So why wouldn't Gail at this same moment snap? Like I said, her moral compass is gone. Dewey was the one person throughout the entire original franchise that kept Gail into basically being a decent human being, basically calling calling Gail out on being like, that's a shitty thing to do. You need to stop that. And she was the one that kept Gail from going too far. Well, you know what? Dewey's gone. And these kids are the ones to blame. And Gail should be the one. They moved to her home turf. Once she finds out that Tara and Sam moved here and the rest, okay, it's time to fucking finish this. This is destiny at this point. I'm not going to go back to Woodsboro, but you just came to my house. So now I'm going to finish this. This ending would have been so much better than random fucking Ethan and Quinn, and you could have still had Bailey. You could have totally still had Bailey. Because, once again, who found the shrine? Gail did. Who knew about all this stuff? Kirby didn't know, and Kirby's the fucking FBI. Why did Gail know? Because Gail was the mastermind behind the whole thing. Tell me that is not a better fucking ending.
Who had supposedly the Tony Overlord's key card to get into this?
Exactly, because that's one thing too. It's like, how the fuck did she get the key card to get into this goddamn place? Because Gail is the fucking mastermind. Gail could have manipulated those kids into buying that place because it's Gail, and then killed them off, because they're not important. Everything works perfectly with this film. So before you guys start to try to attack this going, well, it doesn't work. No, it fucking totally works. Because the one
you may not like it. You may not like it.
Yeah,
but it works.
You may not agree that you want to see Gail the killer, but take the Gail attack out of this, it perfectly fits that Gail should be the killer of this movie. And it will effectively kill the rest of the characters off, because at that point, Sydney ain't coming back. Sydney 100% will not come back if Gail is the killer.
Which, to be fair, I don't want to see Sydney come back. Which is one of the reasons I was mad that Gail lived. I'm like, good, we can finally break free. As much as I love the original Screamcast, I'm like, let's just break free and stop trying to straddle both casts and let's move on. But now she's still alive. Hopefully she won't be in the next one. I don't want Sydney to come back either, honestly.
Yeah. But effectively, that's our way better ending for Scream 6. Now, as we went through this, yes, we nitpicked the fuck out of this. But that's what we do on Spoilercast. We talk about the stuff we like, but we really, really talk about the stuff we didn't like. At the end of the day, Brian, what is your new ranking of your Scream movies with Scream 6?
Currently, I would say 1, 2, 6, 5, 4, 3, with 6 and 2 being pretty darn close, honestly.
And for me, it's 1, 6, 2, once again, right there, 4, 5, and 3. We both actually did really like this movie. I gave it an 82%, which is a 4-star. Brian also gave it a 4-star review.
It's so far my favorite movie of the year. He has it. He has it just below Creed. I almost made it on the entire episode.
Brian is such a cat.
His is just below Creed. I have it as my favorite movie of the year so far.
Yeah, Scream 6 is my number 2 movie of the year. It's Brian's number 1 right now. So while we spent the last hour and 50 minutes dissecting this film in almost what sounds like a negative way, we actually did really enjoy this film. I think that the New York aesthetics elevated this. I think the cast was better this time around. The Ghostface, everything Ghostface, I think was better and elevated, even if the killer reveals weren't. I think everything they did in this was a step up compared to last year's train wreck in my eyes. And Brian was, as he said, considerably a step up from last year's, and he liked 5, and I didn't. So in terms of 7, I mean, we know they're gonna make it. They're 100% gonna do a 7. I think you said then they already greenlight it.
My understanding is it's already greenlit. The directors aren't signed on necessarily, although I imagine they'll come back.
It'll be the same people.
But the actual movie has been greenlit.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure where they're gonna go with it. But then again, we didn't know where the fuck they were gonna go with 6. But man, how great would it have been because I would be so excited if our Sam fully jumping into the dark side and embracing Billy, I'd be like, dude, I can't wait to see what they do with 7. And now it's like,
well, no, if this is the Jason Takes Manhattan of the series, then the next one has to be Ghostface Goes to Hell, where Ghostface isn't actually in most of the movie; it's a whole different story.
Which
the next one,
work with Sam because it's in her fucking head.
And the next one, Ghostface in space.
Someone already released a poster of Ghostface in space. I shit you not. There's a poster of Ghostface in space. God, wouldn't that be the thing that Scream is basically just mocking Jason the whole fucking time? But anyway, anything else you'd like to add before we call this?
No, I think we covered all this stuff. I'm just at the point now where I am now more hopeful. Like when the next Scream comes out, I will be very much anticipating it because I don't know where they're gonna go with it, but I'm interested. But at the same time, it's like, don't screw this up again.
Yeah, and James Vanderbilt, Guy Buswick, and Kevin Williamson, give us a call. Have us look through the script real quick. We'll make your endings better because let's face it, the last 2 films we have better endings than you.
But our endings would never survive the test screenings, though. They'd get revised.
It's Scream. No one cares about test screenings when it comes to Scream. The movie is all about defecting and deflecting the expectations. Honestly, if I was doing Scream 7 right now, based off of how the opening of Scream 6 was, if Sam had fully gone dark side, the movie is literally done through the perspective of Ghostface as the killer, and it's Sam. That's how I would do it right now. But like I said, she didn't go full dark side, so I have no idea where they're gonna go with it. But we are both excited to see where they go with this series. Definitely a way better spot in the Scream franchise than we were 14 months ago when Scream 5 came out. But we hope you guys enjoyed this spoiler chat. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, subscribe on the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. And of course, don't forget to follow us on all social media. I'll see below. Let us know in the comments, what did you guys think of Scream 6? What do you guys think of our endings? If you don't like them, we don't care. We know ours are better. But let us know what you think. Coming up next, we will have our Movie Crusaders Oscar show. Where it's our second year doing this, where Brian and I will go over the top 5 awards. We'll go over who we think's going to win and who we think should win. And then we will also give our nominees for who we think should have been nominated and who should win the awards based off of our awards for the previous year in 2022. Next week, Shazam! Fury of the Gods will be coming out, so there'll be a review for that. Is there anything else streaming-wise coming out?
Not that I don't have the whole streaming schedule in front of me, but
I think
next week's just Shazam.
Yeah, I think it's just Shazam. Also, Cinemasochism and the Weekly Crusaders were behind on this week, obviously with personal lives and stuff. But I'm on vacation, and Brian's schedule's more open than me, so we will probably have those out this week as well. Like I said, we got plenty of videos, so stay tuned, guys. Go see Scream 6. Obviously, if you're on this, you probably hopefully have already watched it. I hope. Also, post-credit scene. Don't stay for the post-credit scene.
I have one more thing to add.
Oh, okay.
Well, never mind. People who are watching this have already watched the movie, so I guess it doesn't count. But don't bother with 3D. It adds nothing. Didn't even notice there was any 3D in the movie, honestly. Anyway.
Yeah, I figured as much. There wouldn't be any real 3D in this film.
Well, some horror movies like Final Destinations, things like that, they use 3D very well. This one, I literally think you could have watched without the glasses and been fine. Anyway,
we're the Movie Crusaders. I'm Sean Wascrook. That's Brian Michaels. And until next time, go watch some movies. Go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.